The risk in cyberspace is I can spin up 1 billion fake people. If you lose control of your cyberspace, you can't exist as a modern nation. And so Bitcoin is secure because it is the most powerful cyber network. And hopefully we can convert over tons of big brands into taking their marketing budget and buying Bitcoin. And I believe we crossed over into a commercial zone about a year ago in AI. So for the next decade, you're going to see ferocious innovation and advances that will be astounding in AI. And it represents both an extreme opportunity for the human race, profound opportunity, and an extreme threat for the human race. I think it could unleash a brain power revolution in the same way that internal combustion engines gave you a horsepower revolution. A Roman trireme with 300 rowers had 30 horsepower 2,000 years ago. And now any fisherman has 300 horsepower. So the fisherman is more powerful than Julius Caesar. The brain power revolution, in a nutshell, is Michael Saylor has 2,000 people that work for him, and he pays $350 million for 2,000 brains. But you may get 2,000 brain powers, and you may pay nothing for it. So what happens when you launch your own company with 2,000 AIs and they actually do $350 million worth of work, but you don't pay $350 million? Maybe that's profound in the same way that 300 horsepower on a fishing boat is profound instead of 3,000 slaves rowing, right? So I do think there's revolutions coming everywhere. So that's a threat, because now the question is, can you trust anything unverified anywhere that you hear? In my personal experience, when I encountered toxicity on Twitter, 95% of the time, the toxic comments weren't coming from real human beings. They were coming from bots that were created by first-generation bot programs. So imagine a third-generation bot program, which is indistinguishable from a person with a PhD. The risk in cyberspace is I can spin up 1 billion fake people, and I can create a civil war by having the fake Republicans hate on the fake Democrats, or the real Democrats having the fake Democrats hate on the real Republicans, and having the fake women hate on the real men, and having the fake men hate on the real women, until everybody thinks everybody is disrespectful to them. And then and by the way, maybe this is happening now.
Yeah.
How are you going to actually create integrity in cyberspace? And I think the simple answer here is you actually create a public-private key identity pair like they use on Nostr, but then you have to actually inscribe it on the Bitcoin base layer with a transaction. So I determine Michael Saylor's public key is this on the Bitcoin base layer. I publish that to the world's most immutable database that's immortal, that's indestructible, on a transaction that cannot be interdicted. If you become a fake person, if you generate 10 million fake people, and I catch you in my screen and I block you, it costs you $1 or $10 or $100. So by conjoining or by combining the power of cryptography with the power of a decentralized crypto network like Bitcoin, I can bring cost and consequence into cyberspace. Okay, and I'll give you an example of cost and consequence in real space: gravity and friction. And so I think that the AIs have just taken us to the natural conclusion, which is cyberspace suffers from toxicity. And in the absence of a cost, of a thermodynamic cost to do something, you cannot trust the thing you see. And so it's inevitable that we're going to actually introduce this idea of cryptographic verification. And once I've done it, then I can digitally sign every document. So if you wanted to have a universal authentication, you would create an orange check, and you would actually burn the orange check in the blockchain into Bitcoin's blockchain. You would publish it to Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and iMessage, and you would tell everybody, if you get a message from me or you see work of mine, it needs to be signed with this orange check identity. And if you did that, then you would have some defense when I spin up an AI, because my AI can copy you, copy me, and create 10,000 hours of interviews of the two of us, where you say anything I want you to say, and I say anything the robot master wants me to say, and it will look just as good or better than this interview.
Right.
And the issue is, how can I tell the difference between the fake and the real? And the answer is only with a cryptographic proof. MicroStrategy is working on a project in this area where we want to plug Bitcoin's security, the cryptographic security, into enterprise security of any corporation. And I know that Block has projects on decentralized identity where they're studying how you can blend cryptographic security in the modern world in a decentralized way that relies upon an open permissionless protocol like a Bitcoin. So I think there are a lot of people that are looking at this right now, and I think you'll see people focused on it a lot more over the next 24 to 36 months as they see the threat coming from the new AI bots. I have on occasion tweeted to Elon that he should adopt the orange check in order to provide integrity and security in Twitter. I'm going to keep tweeting at him or talking to him behind. There's no reason to wait for someone to save you. Save yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to do it. And if someone copies us and they do it better, that's fine. And if no one does it, then we'll put out our version of it. And then I believe it's a good idea. And now we're faced with this issue of who controls your cyberspace. And I would say cyberspace is in chaos right now. You can't trust anything you see across so many of the social networks. And if you could, what are you going to do when I launch 100 billion fake people into your cyberspace? I'm going to corrupt and toxically destroy all your messaging. It's like a denial of service attack on your networks. And you're not going to be able to tell what's truthful and what's not truthful. You don't even know what people think. If you lose control of your cyberspace, you can't exist as a modern nation. And so Bitcoin is secure because it is the most powerful cyber network. Bitcoin has 350 exahash, and that exahash is, in essence, 5 million Bitcoin miners backed by 15 gigawatts of energy, and 15 gigawatts of energy is more energy than the US Navy runs on. And if you wanted to interrupt the network, if you wanted to stop me from sending a message or doing a transaction on the network over the course of 8 hours, you have to come up with 3,000 exahash, and that's going to cost you about 10 years and about $100 billion. So if you want all your social media networks, if you want your websites to be resistant to a nation-state attack by bots, you're going to need digital power. And the power of Bitcoin is such that if an AI took over all the computers in the world, if it took over everybody's iPhone, if it took over all the Google computers, all the Amazon computers, all the Microsoft computers, and it turned them all to attack the Bitcoin network, it couldn't stop that message. It might slow it down by 10%. And so you start to see the logic of Satoshi and what real digital power is to be able to stand against a nation-state attack of all the computers that a nation can marshal against you. If you have that kind of cybersecurity, you can actually defend your entire civilization. You can defend your money transfers, your banking network, your news networks, your social media networks against a hostile attack. And right now, you could argue that most of the problems we have in our world are because those social networks are in chaos. Right? The massive debate right now is misinformation, and we can't agree on whether or not the person that posted the thing is even a person. And there's no shortcut to cyber power. There's no simple trick. Like this idea of Nostr. Nostr was, I'm going to create my own public-private key combination, and I can post the thing I want, and nobody can stop it. Good idea, but the problem is I can create 1 billion Nostr bots. And so there is no solution to the problem that doesn't include digital power or proof of work, which is the basis of the Bitcoin network. If you're not converting gigawatts of electricity into exahash, you don't have power. If you don't have power, it's like you have no Navy, you have no Air Force. You're getting bombed back to the Stone Age, and it's inevitable. And so any nation state that wishes to maintain its sovereignty in the 21st century is going to have to be able to control its cyberspace. And Bitcoin is the key to that, because it is the most powerful and perhaps the only truly secure cyber network in the world right now. It's a national security threat to lose the digital mining, the Bitcoin mining business in the United States. I think the people in the DoD will actually put a spike in it. I don't think there's any bipartisan support. The Democrats on Capitol Hill and the Republicans on Capitol Hill won't be in favor of it. So I think it'll get killed on Capitol Hill. I think the most important thing is to understand that a Bitcoin miner is a digital power center. And so what you're talking about is eliminating the digital power industry from your own country. And when they think about it a bit, they'll realize that then that goes to a country that they like less than the U.S. And you wouldn't want all your aircraft and all your ships to move to the countries that you don't like. People in the crypto ecosystem are losing faith in every crypto asset except Bitcoin, and the capital is flowing from the other crypto assets to Bitcoin. The regulators are attacking every crypto exchange, every DeFi exchange, every crypto token, every cryptocurrency except Bitcoin. If you read 10,000 pages of hostile regulatory action, the word that's conspicuously missing is Bitcoin. The only network that's still going to be around, the low-risk network that is least likely to be stopped by the regulators is Bitcoin. So if you're going to build on something, you want to build on a network that is the most secure politically and the most secure technically. Is you see intelligent developers saying, who's the winner? Bitcoin. What's the ethical network? Bitcoin. Which one is least likely to get me shut down? Bitcoin. Which one is technically most sound? Bitcoin. So what did I do? I did all these other things. Well, can I do them on Bitcoin? Sure, I can. And if I'm doing them on Bitcoin, then I have a reasonable chance of commercial success. I'm not a crypto dick butt person. Like, I'm not going to support, or promote that sort of thing. However, the bigger idea is, what if I could burn a hash, attach it to a Satoshi? Or what if I could inscribe any piece of rare data and I could put it onto the blockchain forever? Well, there are certain types of messages that I would want to send where no one could stop them. If I needed to get a message from point A to point B in the middle of a war, and I was being denial of service attacked, and I wanted a network that could actually overcome a nation state attempting to stop me from sending the message, Bitcoin is the way to send the message. And I think the Bitcoin community and the Bitcoin protocol is based on this idea that we should have rules without rulers. We should elevate the protocol first, and then people can bid on whatever transaction they want to do. The bucket of money we're chasing after is companies give billions of dollars to their employees in compensation, incentive comp, and then companies spend hundreds of billions of dollars on digital advertising, and they give it to the Googles and the Facebooks of the world. So if you're Coca-Cola, instead of spending $50 million on advertising to drive people to your website or download your mobile app or whatever you're trying to do, why don't you just give the money directly to your customers and cut out the ad agent and cut out the middle person? Wouldn't it be better if a company just said, if Amazon said, if you read the books, we'll give you money, and if you post reviews, we'll give you money, and if you send a friend to our website, we'll give you money, and we'll give them money. And everybody just gets money, and if they show up and they don't buy anything from us, they get to keep the money. And that is not practical with credit cards today, because there's a minimum $2.50 to $5 transaction, because you have to get doxxed in a credit card, because after you move the money 40 times in a credit card, the bank took it all in transaction fees, and because final settlement is 45 days on a credit card. So how do you actually do micropayments instantly, friction-free, at no cost with a credit card? Lightning and Satoshis represent an opportunity for you to change the way you think about marketing or employee incentives. Right. And we're doing it because We spent 30 years building customer relationships with all these brands like the Disneys and the Nikes and the Starbucks of the world and the big banks and the airlines and the hotel chains. So we just take this one simple idea, we plug it into our distribution channel, and hopefully we can convert over tons of big brands into taking their marketing budget and buying Bitcoin and giving it away to their customers and prospects.
Right.